Okay, I want to show you what the polyfill looks like inside the case. There. I think you can see it pretty well. That's the polyfill. Now, I'm going to show you the powder charge if I can. I'm not sure how able I am to do that. Because if you see in there, the powder is only filling probably about a quarter of the case. So you're going to have a lot of space to fill. And that's what the polyfill does. Okay, seating cast bullets. Seating cast bullets, especially in rifle, it takes a little bit of delicacy when you're doing this. You don't want to try to cram it in there. You notice it's a flat base bullet. You want to make sure that the inside of the case mouth is chamfered a little more than usual. And what this is going to do is can prevent shaving of the bearing surface. If you shave the bearing surface, you're changing your outside diameter of the bullet. And the sizing and the lubrication process has really gone to waste. So, you start the bullet up into the press just like you normally would until you feel resistance. You just stop. You just apply a little bit of pressure until you feel the bullet start its way in. Once the bullet starts, keep going down. You'll feel the bullet going over each driving band. It's kind of a strange feeling. And then here we have it. One seated cast bullet. As you can see, it looks a little bit differently. Has a different shape. This is a bore ride design, and it works fairly well. And the linotype will make it to where it's not going to deform very much upon impact. This bullet is probably traveling around 1,600 to 1,650 feet a second. I won't know until I shoot it across my chronograph. However, if you're trying to attain the highest velocities possible with these bullets, remember, the higher the velocity, the more stress there is on the bullet, and the more chances there are of you leading your barrel. And the more you lead your barrel, accuracy suffers and your pressure increases to a point of being dangerous. Let's go ahead and set up another one using the polyfill, and we'll do this again. Okay, I moved the scale into an angle to where you can see it a little better. You know, when I picked this stuff up at Michael's, it was only like $4. This will last, you know, it's what, 36 inch by 45 inch piece of polyfill. This thing will last you a lifetime. Alright, so we take a little bit of a tuft. I'm going to roll it up into a ball. Not a tight ball, just enough to, after a while you start seeing that you'll know what size of a tuft you're going to need. Use your tamping stick. By the way, I got this at Michael's too. It was like 20 cents. There's a couple of different ways you can do this. You can try to cram it down as a whole ball, or you can try to cigar roll it out like this. You don't want to, you know, roll it tight between your fingers because you want it to balloon out a little bit. Start into the case. Work it down. So you just have a little bit left. Take your tamp. You don't want to, you know, ramrod it in. You just want to kind of just make sure you got none of the polyfill sticking out of the top. And then you're done. And powder's not coming out. Very nice. It's very handy. Now all we have to do is seat a bullet. I always wipe mine off because sometimes the grease will go with the bullet. So, boom. There you go. A nice cast bullet. Now this is going to cost you probably around, for a box of 20, is probably going to cost right around 75 cents a box. not bad. And just because this thing is going between 16 and 1700 feet a second doesn't mean it doesn't have any killing power. You can hunt with this. It's not going to expand like you would think a hollow point would, or a soft point, but I have shot these things out to 500 meters. It's quite an elliptical trajectory, but it still hits. And you can knock a 10-pound silhouette down with it without any problems. The 40-pound rams, it's a little bit more difficult. However, it'll hit them with enough authority to where you know you got it.